This is the one that has everybody most excited because it's a newer tort. There's a lot of potential plaintiffs out there. The injuries are serious, and the defendants seem to be pretty viable.
Welcome to the Tip the Scales podcast, where we discuss running and growing your law firm. I'm your host, Maria Monroy, president and co-founder of LawRank. Today, I'm joined by your favorite mass tort lawyer, also known as your LinkedIn mass tort lawyer, Joe Fantini. What do we talk about today, Joe?
Today, we're talking about all things mass tort and how anybody and everybody can get involved.
So if you're a PI lawyer, this episode is for you. Joe Fantini. Finally.
I know.
How long have we been trying to do this? Since I started?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. We're coming to everybody live from the beautiful Wynn Resort here at Mass Tort Made Perfect.
What do you do?
I'm an attorney. I work at Rosen Injury Lawyers. I have a unique practice in that I only handle mass tort cases. So a lot of your other guests do PI cases, the traditional type of accident cases. My firm only specializes in mass torts. That's pretty much all I've done for 15 years.
So what's the hot tort right now?
There's a couple hot torts that are pretty far along. So we're hoping we'll have some settlements in hair relaxer and paraquat and roundup and AFFF this year. And then there's a couple new ones coming out that everybody's getting hyped about here, like video game addiction.
Video game addiction. That's a tort?
Yeah, so that's the new one, probably the new kid on the block here. Basically, the algorithms that these manufacturers and video game companies have make the kids get addicted to them.
I mean, but so social.
So there's also social media cases going on as well. So
I have a case for you.
So I'm sure you do. You have children. They're probably addicted to
No. I'm addicted to social media.
Right now.
My kids are addicted to video games, but I don't let them play for hours and hours on end.
Yeah. So the cases for the video game addiction, we're looking for people that are spending, more than an hour a day.
Okay, then I quit. My kids qualify.
Yeah. We've had clients that are spending more than 30 hours a week on video games.
If I let him, I'm sure there have been weeks where he's played 30 hours.
Yeah, it happens. There's a lot of kids out there, and basically they're getting addicted. They're having video game rage. Some of them are getting physical injuries. They're getting depressed. It's impacting their schooling. So there's a whole inventory of different injuries we're looking at. But this is the one that has everybody most excited because it's a newer tort. There's a lot of potential plaintiffs out there. The injuries are serious, and the defendants seem to be pretty viable.
I always hear this rumor that mass torts are going to disappear. Is that true?
I don't think so. I hope not, because all I do is mass torts. But, we were all really concerned about the bankruptcy route. So Johnson & Johnson, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, filed for the third bankruptcy for the talc powder cases, and we just won that. So the judge basically said the process they used to get the plaintiffs to agree to the bankruptcy was flawed. But that was a huge win for us because if we would have lost and that strategy would have worked, then all of the defendants would go into bankruptcy. But a really big win for us. So I think mass torts are going to keep going. And then we had another big win recently in the Uber sex abuse cases. They were claiming Uber was that the language when you agree to the terms to use the app said you couldn't have the consolidated actions. So those were two victories probably in the last 2 to 3 months that didn't save the industry, but huge wins for the good guys.
So it's giving people hope again?
Yeah, there's always hope. There's always a way, but those are kind of two tactics and strategies that the defendants can't use anymore. The other one that's really hot is the Depo-Provera. So that's the birth control. And there were studies coming out probably towards the end of 2024 that it causes this rare type of brain tumor. So,
really? A birth control?
Yeah. So the Depo-Provera shot, been around for almost 50 years now. Hundreds of millions of people in the U.S. and abroad used it.
Did I ever get that? I'm trying to think. No, I did a patch once.
So different than the patch, but yeah, very common. And so that's another one that just started earlier this year, and it got assigned to the judge that did the 3M earplugs litigation. So that case should move pretty quickly. So that's those are kind of the two new kids on the block, but mass torts usually take 5 years per case. So we have a couple that were hopefully coming towards the end here.
So I've known you for a really long time, maybe like 6, 7 years.
Yep.
And a couple years ago, we were at MTMP, and people were like coming up to you and like commenting on your LinkedIn posts. And you're like a little bit like LinkedIn famous, which was a shocker to me, no offense. Just because I didn't know, because it's like, to me, you're like Joe. So like, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I met your husband at a mass tort made perfect 7 years ago.
I know you guys went partying and left me with like my newborn.
Exactly.
Very fucking annoying.
So maybe at this,
he's still in trouble for that. That's why he doesn't come. Yeah.
That's why you do the podcast now.
Yeah.
So that's how I met him. But yeah, a couple years ago, I just started posting on LinkedIn, and I just passed about mass torts. So I'm happy to share the knowledge, which is kind of something unique in the industry. A lot of people keep it close to the vest and don't want people to get involved. But I think I have a lot of information. I've done it. So I clerked for a judge right out of law school. I worked on the defense side, defending insurance defense. And now I've been on the plaintiff side. So I have a unique perspective. And I've been sharing that on LinkedIn. And I guess as cool as you can be for LinkedIn mass torts, I'm probably towards the top of that. And people know me as the LinkedIn mass tort attorney.
Really? Do they call you that?
They do call me that.
Really?
They do, yes.
That's crazy. Does that lead to like referrals?
Yeah, so people reach out to me from there all the time. Usually I speak to 3 to 5 new attorneys maybe every other week. And some just have questions about one case, maybe even their family member. They read a post that I made, or other people are looking to get more involved with, dozens or hundreds of cases and how they can do it. So I speak to a lot of new attorneys. It's usually PI attorneys who are interested and looking to get involved.
How are they generating the cases that they refer to you? Are you helping them generate it, or do they generate it through like their PI ex-clients or current clients and send to you? Are they running a campaign and then sending you the case? How does that work?
Both ways. So
all 3 ways?
Yep. So people could be, they had a client, they have a client that was in a car accident and they see that they were using Suboxone, or they come across a client that was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma and they, put 2 and 2 together and say it could be Roundup. And then that attorney reaches out and say, hey, I have this client, I represent them in this car wreck case. They have non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Would you be interested? And then we just take the case from there and give them a referral fee. And then we have other clients who, want to get more involved. Other attorneys want to get more involved, and they're like, how can I get and acquire a large number of hernia mesh cases? Or how can I get a large number of Depo-Provera? And then I'll tell them, this is the criteria we're working with. These are some of the vendors we worked with. And I put them in touch with them.
Oh, wow.
To help them run, successful campaigns. And then, we'll do a joint campaign where the cases would come to me, my firm works them up, the referring firm could help wherever they want it, but we'll be the handling firm. So get
do you
the
do
record.
the intake?
It could be either way. We could get the leads and do the intake directly.
Okay,
like if we're
you've
running.
done that?
Yep. Yeah, I have like an intake center at my firm.
Okay.
Or there's other ways where there's like intake centers where we could send the cases to,
Right.
and they'll do that aspect of it.
You said something earlier that resonated. You're like, people keep everything very, hush hush. And I do think it's also like, it can be like such a cutthroat industry compared to PI. Like PI lawyers think it's competitive. I'm like, you have not seen like mass torts. But why is it that it's like so hard like to get involved in this?
Yeah, so I think there's a huge barrier to entry. So in a regular PI case, you can sign the case up, settle, get paid in 18, 24 months. In a mass tort, it's going to take 5 years. So to be able to invest that type of money in the cases and not get paid for that long period of time, it's rare and it's really hard to do. And then you need this level of expertise really to work the cases and maximize the value and keep the client engaged throughout the cycle. And most firms aren't set up to do that. So I try to share on LinkedIn and everywhere else just some secrets at my firm has done. We've signed in 7 years about 50,000 cases.
Jesus.
So it's a big caseload, but we have really good processes and systems and technology to help keep the clients engaged. But nobody's really sharing that. And it, at the end of the day, hurts the clients because there's a lot of people out there that are hurt by Roundup or Depo-Provera. You're in the legal marketing space and you don't even know about all the cases. So what we do is the educational marketing versus somebody was in a car accident, I need an attorney. So showing people how to do that, that's something I've been trying to do. And I think it's been well received by the community.
And why are you passionate about doing that and helping other attorneys learn?
At my old firm I used to work at, that was kind of my role as an associate there, is like I would help firms that were sending over the referrals. And I saw there's a place for everybody. There's a place for somebody who has 2 cases or 5 or 100 or 1,000 like my firm. And at the end of the day, when we have more cases, it ends up helping more people. And really, that's what everybody became an attorney for at the end of the day. So it makes you feel good. And a lot of attorneys are just sitting on a ton of cases and they don't even know about it.
And do you think that PI lawyers should be emailing their past clients to try to get cases when like a new tort comes out?
Yeah, that's a great idea. So we send out like an email news blast where it's just, okay, here's the Depo-Provera. This is the case criteria, or this is the AFFF. This is the case criteria. So people who, have children are addicted to video games.
Can you send me the case criteria?
Yeah, I can send you the case criteria.
I think I actually might have 1 or 2 for you.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of cases out there. And, it's just that news blast. Hey, do you have children? Or are they addicted to video
All of my
games?
friends have children. I mean, I think I have a lot of, I know you can't give me a referral fee, so I don't know. You'll have to like take me out to dinner or something.
We can go out to dinner. That's good.
I've been coming to MTMP since pre-COVID and I've never missed one. And I feel like the space has just shifted, right? And there used to be like so many funders. What's happened? Like, please educate me.
That's a really good observation. And it's changed a lot in the last 3 years since I'd say Camp Lejeune changed everything. So when the Camp Lejeune cases started coming out, everybody thought there were going to be, 100,000 cases. There ended up being 700,000 signed cases. And that math just doesn't make sense. So
people spent so much money.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I feel like that's when it was at its peak of when like everybody wanted to get into mass torts.
It was. And that was the perfect case, right? We had the government, we had the clear liability, the big injuries. Everybody was going to get rich. And that's when the funders were coming in. They were lending to people, firms that didn't know how to handle the cases, right? And then the funders got hurt, the law firms got hurt, the marketers got hurt, and the clients got hurt. And then we had this kind of self-correction in the industry, and it got a little tighter, and there's less money coming in. There's less people selling fake leads. There's less fraud, and it kind of corrected itself. And now, and over the next 2 or 3 years, I think like the cream of the crop's going to rise to the top, and it's really going to be a lot better space than it was 3 years ago, because it was crazy out here a couple of years ago.
It was the Wild West. Now, what about, I know in like mass torts, very few lawyers actually try mass tort cases. Do you think that'll change?
No, I don't think so. Some of these, personal injury lawyers try to come in and they think, hey, I want to get the bellwether case. I want to work it up. But that's really not how it works.
Why?
Because the firms in leadership who are doing the work for years, millions of pages of documents, dozens of depositions, putting the whole story together, they know the intricacies of the case so much better. So having that really great personal injury trial attorney just come in and try the case, the facts are too voluminous. There's too much information where they haven't been living it. They can't really come in and do it. So I don't see that happening. We have some really good mass tort attorneys, trial attorneys, Mark Lanier, he's a great presenter, great storyteller. But that one-off PI attorney thinking they can come into the space and get the Depo-Provera bellwether trial, it's not going to happen.
But that's where, like, they can just refer the cases.
Yeah, they can refer the cases. They're sitting on cases.
I know. That's what's crazy. That's like the craziest thing about it. I'm like, you guys should just be emailing any client you've ever had.
Yep.
Right? Anytime a new tort comes out, and get those cases signed up and just refer them to someone you trust.
Yeah. And you help the clients, who you already have that relationship with. And then the firm, makes more money too. So it's a win-win for everybody. But for years, and as long as I've been involved, like the mass tort attorneys never wanted to really share that information. But like I said, I'm trying to change that a little bit. And I think it's been good. I've gotten good reaction from other attorneys, and the mass tort attorneys are still speaking to me.
That's funny. I mean, that must be frustrating for lawyers that want to get into it. And then it's like they're met with this like resistance, and it's almost like this like exclusive club. It's like very secretive. But in a way it works against the industry, because it's like if you don't understand something, like you're less likely to go email all your clients and like educate people and get cases signed up and refer them to the firms that are familiar and this is what they do for a living.
Right. And that's why this conference is good. They share information here, but you can only learn so much at a half-hour breakout session. These are serious cases with serious injuries, and usually there's about 8 to 10 pretty big mass torts going on at a time. So it takes a lot of, interest and your time to really learn the ins and outs of the cases. But, somebody like my firm who goes through hundreds of cases a month, we have that information and we're willing to share it.
And I mean, it sounds like it's working for you. So you can be the LinkedIn mass tort lawyer.
I never thought that was going to work. I'll be honest with you.
I was surprised. No offense.
I just saw like people posting on LinkedIn, and I was just like, this is nonsense that these people are saying it. They were getting responses. So I started, and it's been pretty good.
That's awesome. All right. So give me the top 5 mass torts that people should get involved in.
Yeah. So number 1 is Roundup. This has been my number 1 mass tort for years. We just had a $2.1 billion verdict. They set aside $6 billion to pay additional cases, and they've already paid $11 billion. So Roundup, you're sitting on cases right now. If you're an attorney, if you're from a rural area, everybody uses Roundup. That's the number 1. My number 2 one is Hair Relaxer. So this is, again, serious injury cases, endometrial, ovarian and uterine cancer, very common used product. Cases are pretty far along. The next one I would say is these AFFF, the firefighter and foam cases, really far along as well. There's over 10,000 cases, serious injuries as well. I think that will resolve this year. And then the other 2, I think, are going to be these new ones. So good opportunity to get involved with Depo-Provera. That's the new kid on the block. And then the video game addiction one we were talking about, that's going to be building. That has the most buzz right now.
Thank you so much to Joe Fantini for everything he shared with us today. If you found this story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to help others discover the show.